I think the biggest value GridVest brings to the table is, as a developer, I have to front all the costs on these sort of medium-term projects. And by medium term, 18 to 24 months from soup to nuts, right? I don't get paid a dime until I'm very far in the project. And that means I might have to put out deposits on materials. I might have to pay for engineering. I definitely have to pay for engineering. Maybe I have to pay money to my counterparty to fix his roof. There's a lot of stuff I need to do to win the deal. Any amount of cash that I can conserve to make it across that desert is really crucial, and that's where GridVest helps. Um, in the first deal we did together, I was able to leverage GridVest financing to cover off the battery, and that is cash that I didn't have to come up with that would be tied up for probably 6 months. I don't know. And even if there is a slight markup or an interest rate, obviously you need to earn your money. That was a very good trade-off for me as a developer. I could put my cash into other project related activities,
Yeah.
sourcing other things that are needed for the project, like labor, which you don't do, right? And so um, yeah, I mean, cash is important, and timing of it is important, and you help in both of those ways.
And how about logistics? Do you find, like, in this project we worked on, right, we were able to store the batteries for some time when there were some site delays, things like that. How about logistics, both in terms of how we've helped, but also just in general? Like, is that something that you have to deal with in other projects that's a headache for you?
Absolutely, and I really appreciate your flexibility, because our site wasn't ready, for GridVest, and you were able to be flexible and really easy to work with on that, and put off the commissioning with SYL until we were ready. We can't take a battery until we have a cement pad. We didn't have the cement pad, or maybe we got the cement pad, but SoCal Edison failed us on something, so we weren't quite ready to commission the battery.
Right.
The battery was on the pad, but we couldn't turn it on until they said okay, and they didn't like one of our placards or something, and so we're stuck. This happens in every project, and so having a partner like GridVest that can sort of roll with those and maybe charge us a little more if there's a little more delay, but still, like, you know keep the project moving forward, I think is really important. And thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And then last thing on sourcing, like, have you gone direct to manufacturers in the past, and how was that for you?
Yes, I've ordered direct from manufacturers, and I'd say it's a mixed bag. Like I said, for some reason, and if anyone knows the reason, they should let me know what it is. Inverters and batteries are made by different companies, and then the software that runs these things is made by a third company 9 times out of 10. And you're trying to integrate these systems in a very challenging construction environment where there's a general contractor, which we call EPC, or engineering, procurement, construction, and a whole bunch of subs, a whole bunch of different trades, many of whom have never touched a battery. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I think having GridVest or someone that understands how these pieces integrate is really important, especially on the equipment side. It
Yeah.
is nice. It is really nice to have someone in the United States to call. I mean, a lot of these manufacturers are overseas, and they have some people here often. Some of them don't. Um, but even the people here are overworked and kind of a skeleton crew. It is nice to have someone in the United States who speaks English as a native language, who understands the product you're buying, and who has some sort of economic sway over the supplier because they're placing continual orders with them. And so, if I'm just buying a one-off, my support will be haphazard. But if I'm buying continuous shipments, they're going to answer my call when I need tech support,
Yeah.
and that's something where GridVest can add value.
GridVest. Complex battery projects made simple.